Here's an 8th grade science PBL in brief, biological relationships. Students need to know that there's 3 different major types of relationships: producer-consumer, predator-prey, parasitic host. Prior to this lesson, we have discussed these in class. The students understand them, they know them, they have plenty of notes on them. I'm going to divide the class into 3 groups, one for each of those relationships. Each group will be divided into pairs, so there'll be about 5 pairs for each major relationship. I want each pair to find an example of the relationship. So for producer consumer, maybe we do a grasshopper and grass. I want them to do their relationship research based on that within that overhead topic. They're going to pick this relationship based on if they think it has an impact on the environment, how humans affect it, and what are the importance of it. They're going to create a brochure, which I don't think I wrote here yet. Let me just start with the objectives. They're going to utilize computer technology and web applications to aid in their biological oral presentation, which they'll be giving at the end over their brochure, and a summary, which they will write. The students will design and construct a brochure that illustrates the biological species relationship and how human involvement may or may not influence that environment. The students will write a persuasive summary about the species within the research biological relationship. What I mean by that is there's going to be 2 species, like I said, grasshopper and grass. One of the students in that pair is going to be the grasshopper and one of them's going to be the grass. They're going to write a persuasive summary from their point of view, stating why their species, so the grasshopper, is speaking, saying I'm more important to this relationship because I eat the grass and that stimulates all these cascading effects. Basically, that's how I want the persuasive summaries to be written. The students will also create a blog for the class to view and provide feedback. Sorry, this is real brief. I've already done this 3 times. The timeline, here's the timeline, which will make more sense when you get into the task and milestones. Here's word for word. This is straight out of my teacher document, which I was going to go over, but I was going over for 15 minutes, so I got to make this brief. Milestones are in blue. This is what I want the students to have done by the due dates, which you can see on the timeline. They'll submit a half-page summary on their selected biological relationship. This is just to let me know that they understand what their relationship is. So if I assign a group to predator-prey, I just want them to tell me what predator-prey relationships are. This is part of a check brick grade. It's not graded necessarily for content. It's just I want to see that they know what they're getting into. Students will hand in a printout of their design brochure by the 2nd milestone. I guess I should explain that. That's not the brochure. That is a practice brochure. I will give them content. I want them to put it into a brochure just to show me that they know how to use an application template for a brochure. Milestone 3, there's a lot of things for that. Basically, they're getting started on their research, so I just want them to find research on a topic that corresponds to their biological relationship. So this is the point where I want them to tell me what their relationship is that they want to go in and explore on. And then these are the many little milestones. Task 4, they're going to outline a brochure and it should be started by this date. Milestone 5, they're going to have a rough draft for independent summaries. They should be started by this date as well. Milestone 7, they're going to prepare an oral presentation to discuss the brochures and independent persuasive summaries. The students are to provide feedback to another group's presentation and blog about it in their personal blogs for milestone 8. The students can read this for a lot more detail, but it's all here, so they shouldn't have too many questions. For the assessment, I'm using all rubrics. I believe there's 5 of them. I have a group planning rubric, just to make sure. I'm going to check their Google Docs, make sure that they're doing their work. Making the brochure, I want to test them on the content as well as the organization and the grammar. Attractiveness, graphics, the usual for a brochure. Persuasive essay, I want them to be able to persuade the audience which species they think is more important to the biological relationship. Oral presentation, they're going to be discussing both the brochure and the persuasive summary, so I kind of got everything in there. This one's weighted a little bit more, along with the brochure, which was weighted a little bit more. It was 20 points out of 100. This one is as well. Check brick, this is 1 point per milestone, just to make sure the students are continuing the process of this project-based learning. The peer evaluation will be handed out at the end of the project. I tried to upload it to this page and I could not do it, so you can see it in the teacher document. Now that we're going up, let's see, there we go, references. I will give them the information for the blogging. They may also use another blog. Google document, I want them to use that for their note-taking, for their peer talking back and forth. They're working from separate computers, so they're going to work I can't even say the word, together on the same document. They will also use it for their summaries. I want them to create a brochure. I provided a link here, which is actually the link that another student strategy was given earlier in this semester. And of course my internet is slow again. There it is. That is the one we used earlier. It's not the best brochure one, but it will do. The students will have to make their draft on a piece of paper and get all the information they want to get before they design it, because you can't save the brochure. They can also use another brochure application if they can find one. Most of them have to pay. I would also recommend using Microsoft Publisher. They have a great template. For background, like I said, I provided all the information they need. If they want to go back and review, here's a few links that they can use. Student example, I provided a brochure and a persuasive summary just so you can get an idea of what I'm expecting. Okay, so here's an example. Mutualism, it doesn't fall directly under, but this is one of those exceptions that I would probably approve because it's a great symbiosis relationship that does occur frequently in the environment. The kelp forest and sea otters, we'd give a little information here. For both of those, the students are going to discuss what the relationship is exactly and the human impact. So that is an example of the mutualism, the brochure for the kelp forest and the sea otter. You can read that if you want to get the info. Okay, and so here's the persuasive summary that I would expect. It's not going to be huge. I would expect about a one-page summary. I selected the sea otter. I'll go ahead and read it to you. The sea otter, or I'm not even going to say that, Enhydra lutris, is the only true aquatic mammal of the otter family. Sea otters are native to the coast of northern and eastern North Pacific Ocean. Adult otters can weigh up to 100 pounds. They have the most dense fur coat in the animal kingdom that acts as an insulation. Sea otters live mostly in water or in near kelp forests. I said that completely wrong. The sea otters and kelp have an indirect mutualistic relationship where they control the number of sea urchins in exchange for the shelter provided by the kelp. Not only does this relationship affect the sea otter, but several other species. This is a top-down cascade food chain where the higher trophic levels can affect the lower trophic levels. The sea otters are considered to be a keystone species, therefore are more significant to help this in the kelp and sea otter biological relationship. If you remove the sea otters from the community, these sea urchins would thrive on the sea kelp because they are better competitors for food source. This would lead to a decrease in other marine herbivorous invertebrates and depletion of the kelp forest. The effects would be continuous and everlasting. Basically, I mean, that's not perfect, and I know I read that wrong, but that's what I would expect, something along those lines for the persuasive summary. Okay, so that is a brief overview of the 8th grade science PBL biological relationships. I wish I had more time to go into more details. However, this thing is restricted to 15 minutes, and I think it'd be better if you actually read the teacher document. Alrighty.